Namaste and welcome. In today's segment, we'll be talking about the 6 basic pranayama techniques. I call them basic because I expect you to make these as a part of your daily routine. And there are always some other optional practices, other additional practices that you can add as and when time permits, but these are the basic practices which should form the basic routine of your daily regimen. Okay? And these 6 practices that we are going to talk about are, the first one is Kapalabhati, then Bhastrika, and we'll go through each one of these as we go along. But just to list these: Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, Ujjayi Pranayama, rapid breathing, Bhramari, and then finally the alternate nostril breathing. Okay, so these are the 6 that I consider very basic in our routine, and we'll go through them one by one. All right. So we'll start with Kapalabhati, and as a personal preference, I always like to do Kapalabhati sitting in the Vajrasana, which means we'll sit up on the heels, resting the buttocks on the heels if it's comfortable. If this is not comfortable, stay back on the floor with the Sukhasana practice, the way we started earlier. And if none of these works, you can use a cushion. You could put a block under you or a bolster under you. See what makes you most comfortable. It is very important that when we do any of these practices, the body should not feel any kind of a strain just because of the posture itself. So the posture should be very comfortable. One of the key requirements in most of these postures is that the spine should be erect. So it should be nice and tall, vertical spine. Shoulders should be always relaxed. There should be no tension. Okay. This Vajrasana position is actually one of the postures which is very naturally helpful in keeping the spine straight. And that's the reason I like it for Kapalabhati, because it allows for a more effective movement of the abdominal muscles when we do the practice. So in this practice, what we do is to force the breath out in a very short burst of breath. When the breath is going out, we suck the belly in a sharp movement. That's called Kapalabhati. Okay? So let me just show you quickly 2 or 3 breaths just to show you the rhythm. So as you notice, I'm throwing the breath out in a short burst and then sucking the belly in sharply. And your focus should be a little bit below the navel, so you're engaging the muscles which are below the navel so that you can engage those muscles in sucking them in. Okay? Now for the practices of Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, etc., what I've found very useful is the use of a metronome. Okay, so I'm going to use this metronome, for example. It'll sound like this. Okay. And now the reason I use the metronome is that it helps maintain a very uniform pattern. That's a very big advantage, because we want to do these practices at a pattern which is very uniform, not variable pattern. That's one thing. The second advantage that I find in using these metronome sounds is that it allows your mind to stay totally focused. Because you're concentrating on synchronizing your movements with the rhythm and the sounds of the beats of the metronome, your mind is focused. And so you're not drifting away in terms of other thoughts coming into the mind, and you're focused on your practice, focused on your breathing, focused on the sound. All right? So for this practice that I'm going to demonstrate today, I'm going to keep the speed at 80. But what I recommend is that you should experiment. In the beginning, you may not be comfortable at 80 speed, 80 breaths per minute. That's what I mean. And you may start out at 60, 65, etc. But then build up slowly. Same with the number of breaths in each round. Today, I'm going to demonstrate 2 rounds. And in each round, I'm going to go for roughly 100 breaths. Okay? Again, you should, if you're a beginner, I recommend that you start at about 40 or 50 breaths, no more than that. And then gradually build up your practice over a period of weeks or even longer to build up to about that level of 100 breaths, maybe 120 breaths per round. Okay, I recommend 3 rounds. Okay, 3 rounds of about 120 breaths each, and then you can give a pause at the end of each round. Okay, but today I'm going to demonstrate 2 rounds of about 100 breaths each. Now the other thing that we will do, or if you are not familiar with it, if you're not comfortable with it, you should avoid that. But those of you who are comfortable, there is a whole concept of the 3 locks, 3 bandhas. And these 3 bandhas are done after the practice of Kapalabhati and even Bhastrika. So at the end of this whole sequence that you do Kapalabhati, you will force the breath out completely, eliminate all the air from the lungs, and then apply the 3 locks. The first lock is the chin lock, where you lower the chin down to the chest. Second is, it's called the Jalandhar Bandha, chin lock. Second is the Uddiyana Bandha, or the navel lock, suck the belly all the way back in. And the third is the root lock, or the Mula Bandha, where you squeeze the perineum inward and then lift those muscles up. Okay? So when you finish the whole, when you apply the bandhas, you're not breathing at that time. When you want to breathe, when you want to inhale, release the bandhas. That means release the root lock, navel lock, chin lock. Chin should be back to a neutral position. Then take a very deep inhalation from the right nostril. So close the left side. Inhale very deeply through the right. And exhale very deeply from the left. Alright, this is what we will do. Again, if you're not familiar, if you have never done bandhas before, you should skip this for now. Learn the practice of bandhas in some other, through some other video that I have on my YouTube channel. Alright? Let's start with this practice now. Let's do the final sequence. We'll inhale and then forcefully exhale. After exhalation, apply the 3 locks while holding the breath. Okay? And when you're done with the final sequence, just release the hands down and relax for a few breaths now. So this is, we consider that one full round of Kapalabhati, and we optionally, like I said, optionally you can apply the 3 bandhas at the end of the sequence. Okay, let's do one more round, same thing, roughly about, I'm going to do about 90 breaths, maybe 85 or 90 breaths, and then we'll take it from there. See, let's do the final sequence again. Inhale and forcefully exhaling all the air from the lungs, apply the 3 bandhas, and then finish the sequence. Finally, just release the hands. Again, a few easy, natural breaths now. Okay. At this point, we can go back to the Sukhasana or any other sitting, cross-legged sitting position. Okay. This is called Sukhasana. Very easy and comfortable pose. And if you are more familiar and comfortable, you can try either the Siddhasana. Siddhasana is where you bring the heel under the perineum and place the foot on top of the thigh. That's called the Siddhasana. Or if you're even more comfortable and flexible, a little more flexible with the thighs, you can go into the Padmasana. These are all optional poses. You can feel free to try any one of these as comfortable for you. Okay, so that was the practice of Kapalabhati, and next we'll do the practice of Bhastrika. Bhastrika is translated as the bellows breath. It's like in the ancient times the people used to use bellows to ignite fire, so it's the same movement that we're going to emulate with the lungs. It's a very forceful practice, and it engages both inhalation and exhalation very actively. So you're going to force the inhale and exhale in short bursts as opposed to just exhalation. See, in the Kapalabhati, we only focus on exhalation. In Bhastrika, both inhale and exhale are engaged. But there's a word of caution that I always like to give, that the Bhastrika should not be practiced by anybody who has high blood pressure, which is uncontrolled despite medication. That's number one. Who has had recent heart problems, then you should not be doing it. If you're pregnant, you should not be doing it. In fact, if you're pregnant, you should not be doing Kapalabhati either. Okay? And also, if you have severe asthmatic problem, you should not be doing the Bhastrika practice. Okay, so in this one, what we do is, we are going to force the breaths in and out. And while inhaling, this is a short inhalation, you're going to throw the arms up. When I say throw the arms up, literally kind of push the arms up. Now, in my case, I have a bad shoulder. I have a tear in my rotator cuff, so I cannot throw my right arm up, but you should be doing both the arms up. I can only go halfway, okay? So I'll go this way, but this arm, both the arms should be vertical. I cannot make it vertical, okay? So I'm going to keep the same speed, and I'm going to demonstrate 2 rounds, roughly 15 breaths, maybe 15 to 20 breaths in each round. But again, in your own practice, try to build up to 3 rounds of this practice with about 20 breaths in each round. Again, go slow, start out slowly, maybe start out with 10 breaths, that's okay. And if at any time you feel any kind of discomfort, some people have told me that they feel some lightheadedness as a part of this practice. If that happens, stop the practice altogether at that point. Do not continue, all right? So I'm going to do about 15 to 17 breaths in each round, 2 rounds, all right? Inhale, exhale. Up, down. Inhale, exhale. Final exhalation, and then bring the hands down And take a few easy breaths now. Gentle, easy breathing. Allow the breath to settle down. Arms and shoulders relaxed. Take a few extra breaths before we do the second round. So like I said, we'll do 2 rounds today. And in the second round, what we'll do is to integrate that combination of the 3 bandhas after we finish this sequence, okay? So we'll do the same thing, but again, if you're not familiar with it, if you're not sure what it is, you can skip the bandhas. Like I said, go and visit my other YouTube videos to understand what the bandhas are, okay, before you integrate those in your practice. Okay, let's do one more round. Up, down, inhale, exhale. Final exhalation. And again, apply the 3 bandhas. So you'll do a full exhalation, apply the 3 locks if you can. When you finish the final sequence, that's when you release the hands and regular natural rhythm of breathing. So this was the practice of 2 rounds of Bhastrika. Bellows breath. Now the combination of Kapalabhati and Bhastrika becomes a very nice cleansing practice. In fact, if you look at our ancient texts, they mention Kapalabhati under the category of cleansing practices. So there are in the text called the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is an old text, maybe 800,000 years old, roughly. And in that text, there are categories: asana, pranayama, cleansing techniques, etc. And there are 6 cleansing techniques mentioned. And Kapalabhati is listed as one of the cleansing techniques. However, Bhastrika is mentioned as a part of the pranayama techniques. But now, of course, almost universally, both these are practiced as a part of pranayama practices. Okay? They both engage breath, and both are pranayama in that sense. Okay? So, in terms of the combined benefit, both Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, they become very nice practices, energizing the body, generating a little bit of internal heat, and also cleansing, detoxifying, purifying the body, getting rid of toxins, much more flow of oxygen, forceful flow of oxygen into the cells of the body. So, very energizing practices. Okay. So, from these fast energizing practices, now we move on to the third practice. It's called the Ujjayi Pranayama. Slow breaths now. Now, in the Ujjayi Pranayama, we engage Ujjayi breathing. Now, Ujjayi breathing is when we constrict the passage at the base of the throat and create the friction here, not at the nasal passage. When you create the friction here, you create a slight hissing sound. Okay, So if I were to show you the nasal friction, it will sound like this. That's nasal friction. You can hear the sound of the nasal friction. But if I create a sound at the base of the throat, it's a little more, softer sound, more hissing kind of a sound. It'll sound like this. Okay, so if you notice, you're still breathing through the nose. That doesn't change. The only thing that has changed is that I'm creating the friction at the base of the throat rather than in the nasal passage. And with that subtle friction, you create that nice, ocean wave-like sound, as they call it. So that's the breathing technique we use, called the Ujjayi breathing technique, in practicing the Ujjayi Pranayama. In this pranayama practice, we inhale through both the nostrils. Okay, so we'll inhale full inhalation. Now, there is another practice we call three-part breathing. Full inhalation means three-part breathing, in which when we start the inhalation, we fill the belly out first. Then continue the inhalation, expand the chest sideways. Little more inhalation, lift the collarbones and the upper chest up. That's one full deep inhalation. So it might look like this. Finally lifting the collarbones upward, that's full inhalation. Now when we finish the inhalation, what we do is to hold the breath. Okay, again, if you are not familiar with the bandha's terminology, all you will do is lower the chin down. It's called Jalandhar Bandha, but you don't have to know the name if you're not familiar. Just lower the chin down while holding the breath. If you are familiar, apply both chin lock and the root lock. Alright, so when you inhale first, and as you finish the inhalation, hold the breath, lower the chin down, squeeze the perineum in and up. Alright, that's called the root lock. Apply these two locks. When you want to exhale, this is important to remember. When you want to exhale, release the locks, lift the chin up, close, make a Vishnu Mudra with the right hand, and I'll talk about that. Vishnu Mudra is when you make a fist, right thumb up, last two fingers up. Okay, and then close the right side with the right thumb. Exhale only from the left side. And again, it's a full three-part exhalation. You start by exhaling, all the air from the upper part of the lungs, middle part, and finally sucking the belly in at the end of the whole sequence. All right? So that's called the Ujjayi Pranayama. Okay? And let's do just a few rounds. And I'm going to show you maybe 3 or 4 rounds like this, and you can develop your own practice. Maybe do more rounds when you build your practice. Alright, so inhalation is through both the nostrils, exhalation is only from the left side. At the end of inhalation, we apply the two locks. Alright, that's the kind of basic guideline. Let's do a few breaths like this. Very deep breaths, very soft, Ujjayi breaths. And let's finish the next round now. This is when you finish the exhalation from the left side. Like I mentioned in this practice, we inhale through 2 nostrils but exhale only from the left side, never from the right side. That's how it is described in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika text. And then natural breathing, a few breaths. This is called the Ujjayi Pranayama. Using the technique of breathing called Ujjayi Breath, this whole sequence is called Ujjayi Pranayama. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my Sukhasana and do the next practice. And this is the practice we call Nadi Sanchalana. That's the name in Sanskrit, which literally means activating or energizing the nadi system or the nervous system. Now, nadis are the subtle channels of energy in the body. Okay, so this is just called Nadi Sanchalana. In English, we just call it rapid breathing, fast breathing. So in this one, we breathe. I'm going to keep this speed 85 breaths per minute, and we breathe rapidly, but the breaths are very soft and even. There is no force, there is no belly movement. Sometimes there is a tendency to do Kapalabhati movement. We don't do that in this one. No belly movement. It's all upper chest breathing, all right? Nasal breathing, not Ujjayi breath. Okay, and what we do in this one is do three times. In the first round, we close the right nostril and breathe in and out through the left nostril for a few breaths, maybe 60 breaths or so, 60, 70. Then we release. Then we close the left nostril with the ring fingers, and then in and out from the right nostril, same speed. And again do about 60 breaths, then release, and then both the nostrils now. So we'll in and out through both the nostrils, again 60 to 70 breaths. Gradually you should build up your practice to go for approximately a minute or a little more if you can, maybe 100 breaths if you can, in each sequence, in each round. Okay? So let me keep this speed. I'm going to keep it at, let's keep it the same, 80. 80 breaths, good enough. It's not fast. All right, so we'll start with the right side first. So close the right side and breathe in and out from the left side. When you hear the tick, that's when you should exhale. That way we'll keep the synchronization nice and smooth synchronization. Even breaths, no force, no abdominal movement. That's the key guideline here. Very soft breaths. Do the final exhalation. Finally exhale and then release the hands down. Just take a couple of easy, natural breaths now. And we'll continue now with the other side. Same rhythm. Use the ring finger to close the left side, in and out from the right, but very even breaths. Again, no force. Do the final exhalation, and then release the hands down. Again, take a few natural breaths here. And we'll do the same rhythm now, this time breathing in and out through both the nostrils. Again, the final exhalation. Just stay with your natural breath for a few more moments now. Again, the practice that we just did, it's called Nadi Sanchalana, or just the rapid breathing practice in English. Nadi Sanchalana in Sanskrit. The next practice we'll do, it's called the Bhramari practice. It comes from the word Bhramara. Bhramara is the Sanskrit word for a bee, and the sound made by a bee is called Bhramari practice. Bhramari sound. In this one, we make it, just like the name is, we make the sound like that of a bee. But we also use a gesture with the hands. And this gesture, the Sanskrit name for this gesture is called Shanmukhi Mudra. Shanmukhi Mudra means you are closing the 6 openings in the face. Mukhi is openings, Shat means 6. So you're closing all the 6 faculties, symbolically representing that you are turning the mind away from all the 5 senses. That's a symbolism used here. Symbolically, shutting the mind from any influence from the 5 senses. That's the idea here. And the way we make that gesture is we use the thumbs to close the ears. So plug the ears with the thumbs. Index fingers very lightly position on the eyelids. The middle finger very lightly position on the nose, the ring finger on the upper lips, and the little finger below the lips. So this is the symbolism we use to create the Shanmukhi Mudra. Alright, and having done that, then once we are in the position, we take a deep breath in, okay, and then while we are exhaling, when we exhale, we make a humming sound. So it will sound like this. Okay, so you can continue to make this sound as long as your breath allows you to. And in your own practice, you can build up to, several of these sounds, maybe 7 or 8, 10, up to 10 breaths if you can. And again, it will depend on the amount of time you want to allocate. But in our practice today, in my own demonstration, I'm going to just do it for 3 breaths, all right? So just 3 breaths of inhalation and a deep humming sound, as long as you can make it. So this is the gesture called Shanmukhi Mudra, and we'll start from here now. Finally, release the hands down. And after you're done with this practice, for a few moments, just stay tuned to the sound, the vibration and the rhythm of this humming sound that you might still hear in your ears, in your mind. And then just allow that sound, the vibration and the energy of that sound to go into every cell of the body, kind of percolate throughout the body. Almost like enjoying this whole sound vibration of this sweet and beautiful humming sound. Very calming, very soothing practice. Calms the mind, calms the nerves. Very soothing overall. Now we are ready for the final practice, which is called the Nadi Shuddhi. That's one of the Sanskrit names, Nadi Shuddhi, which literally means purification of the nerves. Shuddhi means purification. The other common Sanskrit name is Anuloma Viloma, and the English translation is simply alternate nostril breathing. Okay, what we do is to again make a gesture with the right hand called the Vishnu Mudra, fist, thumb out, last two fingers out, is called the Vishnu Mudra. With the left hand we make this gesture called the Chin Mudra, which is the index and thumb together, very soft hand, nicely comfortable hand on the left thigh, left knee or thigh. And the technique is to breathe in and out through alternate sides. So we'll start with the closing the right side with the right thumb, and then we exhale from the left side first. Then inhale from the left nostril. We close the left nostril with the ring finger. Exhale from the right nostril. Then inhale from the right. Close the right again with the right thumb. Exhale from the left side. Again, inhale from the left side. Close the left. Exhale from your right. Inhale from the right. Close the right. Exhale left. And now you continue your practice while I'll continue to give you the instructions, the guidelines, so that you will not miss the practice. Keep going. Remember the technique or the rhythm is you exhale from one nostril first, inhale from the same nostril. Okay, always inhale from the same side. When you finish the inhalation, switch over to the other side for the subsequent exhalation. Okay, so the sequence is to exhale, inhale from the same side, then exhale, inhale from the other side. All right. Now the guideline here is that the breathing should be very soft. And these are Ujjayi breaths. Remember we did the Ujjayi breath where we constrict the passage at the base of the throat. That's where the friction is created. Very light friction, very smooth friction. And then inhale and exhale using the Ujjayi technique of breathing. And also three-part breathing. Remember I talked about the three-part breathing where you inhale, while you inhale, fill the belly out, continue the inhalation, expand the chest, finally the upper chest goes upwards. Exhale the opposite, soften the chest, finally suck the belly all the way back in. So these are the three-part breaths. Each breath is a soft Ujjayi three-part breath. And one of the key guidelines for this practice is to develop a ratio of 1 to 2 between the duration of inhalation and exhalation. And to do that, you will keep a count in your mind. So keep a count like Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, etc. Each of these counts is roughly 1 second. And when you maintain the count, you get an assessment of how long your each breath is. And then develop your ability gradually to make your exhalation twice as long as the inhalation. That's the guideline here. Okay? And you keep doing this, for a few rounds. I usually recommend go for, in terms of time duration, about 5 minutes of this practice is a good practice. And then, of course, if you have more time, develop more time on this, because it's a very beautiful, very balancing, very cleansing practice. Very nice practice. Many benefits are associated with this practice. Okay. So let's just do one more cycle. When you finish the final sequence, which will be the exhalation from your left side, so take your time. Always full cycle, full sequence, finish the exhalation from the left side. That's when you will release the hands down. And again, just maintain your natural pattern of breathing, regular breaths now for a few moments. So this completes our full sequence of these 6 basic pranayama techniques. I recommend that you please visit my blog or the YouTube channel for more detailed instruction on each of these individual practices. I have them down there. And there also I have mentioned some of the contraindications, some of the benefits of each of these practices. So please visit my blog or my YouTube channel for some more details on these practices. Okay? So I hope you will build these practices as a part of your daily ritual, daily pranayama routine. And you will find them extremely beneficial in terms of bringing more energy into the body, more vitality. They work on the internal system, cleansing the system, purifying the entire nervous system, all the nadi system as it's called, the subtle channels of energy. So please make this as part of your routine. And I thank you very much for being a part of this video, for enjoying this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, for being a part of this video, and I hope you will join me for a future video. Namaste. Have a wonderful rest of the day.